Hello.
Hi. Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Great. Okay, so you might be a little too close there. Hang on. All right.
You don't want me to kiss the mic?
I don't. Well, I mean, I do, but I'm just going to turn you down a little bit. But continue to kiss the mic, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Mic check. This is really exciting podcasting.
Yeah, we're doing great, you guys.
Okay, that's good.
So I'm kissing the mic, which means
that's a little too close. You can back up. You can back up just a little bit.
Now.
You can back up just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I just need to get like when you pull into the garage and you have like the hanging tennis ball. I need that for how far I need to be away from this microphone.
Yeah.
Because I really struggle with it.
Okay.
I'm leaning over the table right now. I'm gonna have back problems.
I'm just tremoloing your voice.
Just turn it off. Just turn me off.
Now we can't hear. Sid, where are you?
There'll just be like 5-minute silence in the whole episode.
Like, that was Sid.
Any like actual podcaster is probably trying to murder me right now for messing with levels during a show. Whatever. We're amateurs. This is amateur hour. If you want to send us money, I can give you my Venmo though. I don't know. We don't have a Patreon or anything. If you want to financially support the show, hit us up on Facebook and I'll give you my Venmo and you can send me money.
And if you give us money, then we won't do all these weird things.
But we will shout you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum $50.
You what?
Minimum $50 or you don't get a shout out.
Yeah, we only shout out for $50 plus.
Yeah.
Because we value ourselves.
$50 buys us some new mics, which we would like, because then we don't have to do so much crap with this level, and because we're not using drum mics. Hello and welcome to episode 24 of We Watch Movies and Then Talk About Them, the only podcast on the internet where we watch a movie and then talk about it. There may be other podcasts where other people do that, but this is the only one where you're going to find us doing it. My name is Andrew Westonsko. I am the host of this here podcast, joined, as always, at my right hand by Becca.
Hello.
And at my left by Sid.
Hello.
And I almost just did a spoiler joke, but I didn't.
Oh. Good
That was
thing
so
you
close.
caught yourself.
Okay. Those of you who have seen the title, we're talking about Jordan Peele's 2019 film, Us. It literally came out today. We just went and watched it. Opening day. So we're going to do, at the very beginning, some spoiler-free goodness, but then we're going to jump right into the spoilers. So we'll give a very clear distinction as to when we will start talking about spoilers. Right?
Right.
Fine.
Jeez. It's so aggressive. Sid really wants to get into the spoilers.
We have a really hard time talking without spoiling things. So.
I know. We were talking about that on the drive over here, actually.
Yeah.
I'm telling the audience. You guys know that because you're both part of the conversation. But, yeah. Let's see. I don't think there's really any drama to get into. The Oscars are over. There's no complaints to be had past what we have already complained about enough. Best Picture winning Green Book. Still haven't seen it.
Still don't want to see it.
Yeah, I still don't really want to see it. That's kind of where I'm landing on it, honestly. I just have no interest in it. So we're going to jump right into it. Again, we are talking about Jordan Peele's 2019 film, Us, the follow-up to his 2017, right?
Yes.
2017 darling, Get Out, the Academy Award-winning film, Get Out. Best original screenplay, right?
Yes.
And he was also nominated for a handful of others for that one. So good for you. That movie is great and you should watch it. This movie is also pretty great and you should watch it.
Yes. And that's the end of spoilers.
and that's the end of the spoilers. No, we're going to do our hot takes and then we're going to dive right into the spoilers. All right. On to the hot takes. Becca, what's your hot take? Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. That's tough.
Spoiler free.
Okay.
Bird's eye view.
It is still digesting a little bit with me, but right off the bat, I really like it. There are a lot of really good things about this movie. And without getting into too much detail, I think my two favorite aspects of this movie from a craft viewpoint is the cinematography and the music. And just for that, everybody should go see it.
All right, so the spoiler-free hot take is a recommendation from you then.
Yes.
All right, cool. Sid, go.
This is a solid recommendation from me. I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah, music. I would say the music. Oh, it's so good. I love the music in this. I love Jordan Peele. I love him, and he's doing great work. But I would also say the acting is really good. Lupita is incredible. I love her. Yeah, solid recommendation.
I am glad that I am not crazy because I think the score was also my favorite aspect of it, which is odd because I'm not usually a score guy, but I could see myself going and listening back to this one, especially the opening credits song.
Oh, yeah.
Was so good. That's not a spoiler because if you go see it, you're gonna see it in the first 2 minutes. Oh, well, it was a good song. You spoiled it for me. Yeah, it's really good. I'm with Becca. I think that to really get a grasp on it, we're gonna have to be talking about it a little bit. Talk out some of what some things meant, because it's a pretty dense movie, content-wise and message-wise. It's not as, I guess, I don't think that it's as immediately obvious as the message from Get Out was, but worthwhile nonetheless. Jordan Peele has done it again. He's continuing to show himself as quite the competent director. The directing, I think, was probably my second favorite aspect, closely followed by the editing and then the cinematography. I'd rank them that way, but they're all really good.
And he's got a knack for horror too. Like,
well, he has a whole, if you followed the Academy on Instagram, you would have seen on their story yesterday, there was a whole like interview with him about the similarities between directing horror and comedy, and like how close they tie into one another. And because basically they're both about just hitting the right beats, and it's all about timing and atmosphere with both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's interesting.
Like, that's why I want to see Ari Aster make a comedy, dude. I want to see him do it. That dude's got timing down.
It'd be the funniest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. So we'll get into the Midsummer trailer. Don't you guys worry. P.S. That'll be in other content. Or other topics, I suppose. But we're going to jump right into it. This is your official warning from the cast here at We Watch Movies and Then Talk About Them, that we are now going to spoil the crap out of the newly released Jordan Peele film, Us. So if you're interested in it and if you don't want it spoiled, yeah. If you haven't seen it and you do want it spoiled, I think it's going to be a good idea for us to just kind of do a rundown of what this movie's about. But here's your warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off into the spoiler-verse.
Yay.
Love that movie.
Yay. Okay. And for those of you who are trying to test the limits, we're going to give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. We're really into spoilers now. And holy crap, did he make a movie about clone mole people? What the crap?
I don't even know.
I was holding that in because there's that thing at the beginning where it's like, there's thousands of miles of tunnels underground. And I was like, what the?
I know. I was like, what does that have to do with anything?
And then I thought about it and I was like, are they mole people? Totally mole people.
You get the guy from the end of Incredibles coming in. He's like, I am the Underminer. And then he like destroys everything. And then, yeah, he takes out all the replicants. Wouldn't that be great?
I was like, it was really once I realized, it kicked in for me once I realized that the other family had copies as well. I was like, it's a whole like mirror United States down there. Like,
I know. I was not expecting that from the previews. I thought it was just their family.
I gotta say, when we I guess I remembered afterwards that in the trailer there's like a 3-second clip of her walking through the hallway downstairs. But apart from that, you cover the entire trailer in like the first 20 minutes. And that gave me Hereditary vibes, and I was into it because then I was like that's the right way to just do a movie trailer in general. Like just pull your trailer from the first 20 minutes, and then your movie is actually a mystery still. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this movie, let's just run through this really quick. So it starts out in the 80s, and what's her name? I literally have the IMDb pulled up here. I don't know
their names.
Yeah, I don't know anybody's names except for Jason.
Adelaide.
Oh, what a weirdo
Gabe, that's
name.
one of the names.
Yeah.
Adelaide, Gabe, Zora, and Jason. Okay. So Adelaide is a little girl at an amusement park. Coney Island type deal, but I would assume in California.
Yeah, because
Northern California is what
Santa
it seemed
Cruz.
like. Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
I did. You weren't paying
said
attention.
Santa Cruz like so many times.
Oh, that's right. As soon as he was like Santa Cruz, but I don't know where Santa Cruz is. But the trees and whatnot looked like Sacramento-ish area, so I assumed they were Northern California. I don't know where Santa Cruz
where it is.
In any case, she wanders off. Her dad gets distracted playing whack-a-mole, and she wanders off into a funhouse. Where she sees a copy of herself, which is weird. We fast forward. She's got PTSD. She's not talking. They encourage her to perform, essentially, to tell her story. Flash forward 23 years. It's present day. And they're going to their summer home, which I take to be her parents' house,
I think so.
right?
Yeah.
They've kind of adopted as their summer home.
Yeah.
They go to the beach. The youngest kid sees a weird thing. The wife, I feel like the wife tells the husband about her experience seeing her clone. I feel like you don't get to several years of marriage and 2 kids without sharing that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's
a little
not
odd.
healthy.
But in the grand scheme of things, I think it does make sense.
Yeah. In terms of a movie, it makes sense. In
Yes.
terms of a marriage, it's not good.
Yeah.
This has been Marriage Counseling by Sid. I am not married
How's that
or
marriage
a
thing going for you? Yeah.
Hey, I'm struggling with it right now, okay? This is going to turn into a crying podcast.
Oh, boy. We haven't had one of those since, I don't know.
I don't think I've
Have
ever
we
cried.
had one of those?
I'm really I'm surprised. I made it 24 without crying.
That's pretty impressive. Okay.
Wow.
So in the nighttime, the clone family shows up, and they're all just a little off, but they look the same, and they start attacking people. We fast forward. There are clones of everyone that is attacking everyone. It's a whole uprising. Basically, there's a lot of fighting clones. There's some comedy sprinkled in. Lupita eventually ends up down in the mole people's domain, where she is treated to a villainous monologue by her clone, who she proceeds to murder. And in the closing shot of the film, it is revealed that our expectations are actually flipped. The Lupita that we thought was the real one was the mole person.
I called that from the beginning. I didn't tell anyone, but I did.
That's nice.
Good call.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Adelaide that we knew is actually the mole person, Adelaide, and the mole person, Adelaide, is actually the real one. So their psychologies, I guess, have kind of flipped. And it explains a lot of the idiosyncrasies that bothered me at the beginning of the film, such as her speech patterns, which I thought were extremely odd. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she didn't tell her husband about this super traumatic experience until after they had 2 kids. Like,
Because she had to hide it from him.
yeah, she had to.
Yeah.
This is an honest to goodness, straight-faced movie about mole people uprising.
Yes, it is.
And there's not a lot of explanation as to the origin of the mole people. Did I miss anything in the rundown of the film? I just want to make sure that I understand what we're going for.
The mole person Adelaide read
Mhm.
she said something that like they figured out how to clone a body but not a soul, but that's really all that they gave.
Yeah, I don't know if this was like some CIA stuff. I don't know. I mean, I think that that's what I took it as, is it was some like government experiment gone awry, basically, because I mean, even the daughter mentions, she's like, you know, they put fluoride in the water to control our minds.
Oh yeah.
Like Jordan Peele loves dropping in little tidbits like that. Also the line about her peaking when she was 14, I thought was clever. When she's talking to Kitty on the beach. She's like, do you
Oh,
remember she
yeah.
kept dancing? She's like, well, I peaked when I was 14. Like, I don't know. That was clever. And props to Jordan Peele for making a movie about the proletariat rising up against the bourgeoisie and having me cheer for the bourgeoisie. Because literally in any storytelling experience where the proletariat rises up, I'm usually on their side. I think it's the closet communist in me. I don't know. But like we went and saw the Scarlet Pimpernel, and I came out of there being like, that was a pretty good story. Like those bad guys really sucked though. It's like, that Scarlet Pimpernel, he's a real piece of crap. I was like all about the
Totally
I was
misunderstood
like
it.
all about the uprising of the peasants, and I was like, it just sucks that the bad guys won. So props to Jordan Peele for making me cheer for the bourgeoisie. Yeah, what? I mean, so spoilers. What did you guys think? This one, it's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm still kind of trying to understand what exactly happened. Like I get it, but
I feel like there are two, I guess, main threads, and they are connected. But it's the same story, I suppose, on a personal and societal level. In that the mole people, and I feel like we don't do them. I feel like we're doing them a disservice calling them the mole people. I just think it's friggin' hilarious.
Well, they're the bad guys, so we can call them mole people.
But are they? Mm-hmm.
but they might be.
I mean, they murdered a lot of people,
Yeah.
so not great.
I think there's only one mole person that's
But
a good
hey,
person,
here's the
and
thing:
she's not a mole person.
when a bunch of Americans rise up and murder people, we call it the American Revolution, and it's celebrated. When a bunch of mole people pop out and start murdering Americans, it's a freaking horror movie. So I guess
Well,
history is written by the victors.
If it's a government experiment gone wrong, I don't know. The mole people aren't real people.
Okay, let me tell you what I picked up on, basically. And I think, at first I thought I didn't like the twist. I think I do like the twist. And I think that the twist is kind of the key element in supporting the theme and message of the movie, which I take as this. There is a beaten down and ultimately forgotten population that is present. And basically, the only thing that separates the beaten down population from the more prosperous population are circumstances. And it's not anything inherent in a single person that allows them, or that puts them into one of those two classes, shall we say, so much as it is the circumstances that they are, more than anything, born into. And I think that the fact that the two Adelaides swapped, and basically the one who was a mole person still ended up all mole person-y, and the mole person who came up was able to learn how to talk, got married, had kids, lived a pretty normal life. I think that supports that idea of these two separate populations, classes, if you will, and I think he does, are really separated by just this razor thin line of basically what your starting point is and the circumstances are, which is, I mean, I think he's going for this, and I think it builds on the themes of Get Out. That's a real basis of a lot of the racism that's still prevalent in America, right? Is that basically minorities and primarily black people and Hispanics are, and I am not supporting this viewpoint, but the viewpoint of racists is that they are less than inherently, rather than being systematically beaten down by the government for hundreds of years.
Are you saying Green Book didn't cure racism?
I don't think that Green Book cured racism. No, okay,
What?
so here's the thing. I don't want to name any names, but I had a colleague one time, basically unprompted, bring up to me. He said, "You know what the best thing that we could do is do a social experiment where you divide America into 5 parts, and you just make lines down the middle, divide it into 5 parts, give 1 part to white people, 1 part to," and I'm quoting this, so this again is not my viewpoint. He said, "Give 1 part to white people, give 1 part to Jews, give 1 part to black people, give 1 part to Hispanics, and give 1 part to everybody else." He's like, and then give them 50 years and see which section of the United States progresses the most. The implication being that the white people section would progress the most, and that the issue was inborn, essentially. And so when I only bring that up to say that this is a viewpoint that like people actually hold, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think this movie and the message that it shows, if people are astute enough to pick up on it, which you could totally watch this movie and just be like, wow, that was cool. But if people are astute enough to pick up on it, and I think that a lot of people will be, hopefully the right people, but maybe not, who knows, being that really these 2 classes that were, or these 2 populations that were literal mirrors of each other, the only thing separating them was just their circumstances, and one thrived and one didn't. And the class the class that the population that didn't thrive was beaten down to a point that they had no choice but to rise up. So I don't think it's like a warning or like an incitation to violence or anything like that, but I think that's what he's going for here.
I didn't catch that.
I didn't quite catch
But-
it either, but I like it.
Yeah, like I feel like I got some of those same themes, but I guess I didn't like apply it to life in the United States currently. But I think it makes sense, and I think it like adds another layer to this movie for sure, and makes me want to go watch it again already.
And I will say this as well, is that I think, again, racism is not dead. Green Book did not cure it, unfortunately, as much as I think that the producers of that movie would like to believe. I think that a lot of racism in America is actually kind of nested inside of classism, in that we look down on poor people more than we look down on minorities, and it just so happens that there are systemic things in place that have been put in place to assure that those 2 categories remain as overlapped as possible.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's interesting that and again, I mean, Jordan Peele's a smart guy. He thinks these things out. I think that it was interesting to have the focus be on both a black family and a white family for that reason.
That is interesting.
And I mean, sorry, to further the metaphor, they were both pretty well off.
Yeah, that's true.
They had summer homes, for crying out loud.
Well, and I don't like the idea of like a shadow is interesting too, because like one family looks at themselves and says, this is us, but they're worse. Basically, like if you go along with like the whole theme that you brought up, like these people are still human, but in a lower class. So, like,
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's interesting.
Well, and that's the I guess human nature of it all, right? Is
Yeah.
like our human instinct is to rank people, I guess. And that's horrible, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That was the main through line that I picked up. I think there's other things going on, but I took that as the kind of principal message of the film. And again, I think it's interesting how it builds on the themes of Get Out.
I don't have anything else to say.
I again, I feel like I just need to like sit with it for a little bit because I think there are some really interesting things that are being said in this movie. But also, I guess just to take it back to like a lighter note, I think it's a fantastic horror movie. Just like
100%. Sorry.
as is.
I didn't mean to get all like overly serious and, dissecting the societal problems present in the United States right now.
okay.
Because it's a great movie.
It really is. Like you don't have to go into it thinking about all of like current issues.
No,
You
it's
can just go and
it's
enjoy.
that's what I'm saying is like here's the thing, and maybe if we didn't do this, like if our plan wasn't to do an episode of the podcast on this, maybe I wouldn't have even noticed that. Like like I said, the themes are much less obvious than they were in Get Out, and I think that's purposeful.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic monster movie.
It really is because the monster is essentially yourself. Like I think that's like the scariest thing to think about just like in a horror movie, that like the person after you is you, but a scary version of you.
And it's super scary because like they know you, they know how you think. You're also like equally matched physically. Like the girl who was a track star, she couldn't outrun her own self. Like
That's so terrifying to think about in a horror film. Like
Well, especially in this one, like they knew their movements, they knew their routines because they were literal mirrors of them. That's so scary.
well, and it's interesting that like Adelaide picked up on that and she was like, we need to drive to Mexico. We need to get out of here. They know what we're thinking. They know how we move and everything.
well, I mean,
Like, she already knew that. Yeah.
Because she was a mole person.
I know. Like, there were so many signs.
It makes so much of her behavior makes so much more sense. Like,
And I think the first time I kind of started thinking about it was when she went back into the house to get the keys when they were trying to like escape. I don't remember their names. What are their names? From Kitty's house? Is that- yeah. And she goes back in.
Is she the girl from The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah,
she
she
did a
is.
great job.
She's so good. I love her.
After seeing her in this and seeing her in The Handmaid's Tale, she is pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
The Handmaid's Tale, she plays it really straight, kind of. She's really flat.
And that's because her character's.
Well, but that's because it fits her character. Seeing her in this, I'm like, oh wow, she might actually have some range.
Yeah, I actually really like her. She did great in this. But yeah, after she grabs the keys and there's like the twin mole that she has to kill, and she stabs her, and then she like stands there and like is breathing, like has like this raspy breath.
Like it comes back out of her a little bit.
Yeah, and you see like her son walks in and sees her and like is a little scared by it, and like that was the first moment where I was like, this lady is not quite right.
Yeah. Well, and it's similar to Get Out in that way that like I'm sure going back and watching it a second time, like so many of the behaviors that we just kind of, like I said, especially mostly because of Get Out, I gave him a pass on a lot of it, but a lot of the things bothered me towards the beginning of the film, specifically about Lupita's performance. I thought her speech patterns were super weird. I thought she bugged me, and I didn't know why.
It kind of, I mean, it tricks you for sure. Like it made sense to me because the entire time I was thinking like, oh, she's experiencing serious PTSD, and like the reason she's having all these behaviors right now is because they're back in Santa Cruz and like back in this place.
That's what I thought as well, and that's kind of what I wrote it off as.
And so like I think that's such a smart move, because then when you get the twist, you realize like those behaviors are her mole person.
Regressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on nearly as much as you guys did. I thought I was getting it, but I guess not.
Hey, but you got the twist, so
That's
Yeah,
true.
Sid called the
counts
twist.
for something.
I win.
I'm so bad at calling twists.
I'm usually
You
bad,
really
but
are.
like in this one, I was just like, what if like she's one of the persons? Like, what if she's not a real person?
I mean, I'm happy to be surprised though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's
I
more
mean,
fun to
yeah,
not be able to call
At
it.
first, I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be crazy if she wasn't a real person? And then like the movie started going, and I was like, oh,
Oh, you're really feeding
okay.
into the themes here, huh?
Yeah.
She's not a real person.
I'm not a racist.
You're a classist.
I know.
You don't like mole people.
I'm not a classist.
You really set us up to
I'm
you
not a classist.
You really set us up to not
guys-
be able to say anything
You
bad
guys-
about the mole people in this movie.
Yeah, right? Never insult the proletariat because they will rise up against you.
Oh no, Twitter's gonna come for me now.
Sid, your career is going to be over before it starts.
We all knew it wasn't gonna start.
At least you didn't like tweet a super racist thing right before getting on a plane. That's still one of my
Wait.
favorite internet stories ever. I don't remember who it was. It was some lady. She was like a nobody in some corporate space,
Uh-huh.
and she made a pretty racist tweet like immediately before getting on a plane, and it was like a 12-hour flight.
Oh.
And she gets off the flight, and her life is just ruined. Because her tweet went viral, and she got connected to like her company, and her company
my
fired her like while she was in the air, and like,
That's hilarious. 12 hours of bliss and then
I love
nothing.
I gotta look that up again. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
Guys, please don't come for me. I'm a good person. I'm not racist.
Sid is a good person. I can vouch for that.
Thank you.
So, going back to the twist, I think I knew it like subconsciously before I really realized it. Like when she's down in the mole place and she's like in the classroom with her tethered person or whatever, and they're fighting, and then eventually she kills her. Like I felt so like sad for the mole person, like the person the Adelaide that died.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't keep them straight.
But I mean, sorry, keep going.
But like, yeah, like I felt really bad for her, and I didn't want her to die. And then I was like, but wait, she was the bad guy. But then she wasn't.
But I mean, kind of like both of them are kind of bad guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel
mean,
like the red, the mole person, she's not as guilty, but she still organized the mass murder of like the entire planet.
Well, hang on. Red is
Okay,
the
wait,
real
no.
Adelaide.
Adelaide. The real Adelaide.
the real Adelaide organized a mass murder.
Yeah, but then also at the same time, Red took over Adelaide's life.
Yeah. No, they're both not great.
Yeah.
But I don't really blame Adelaide. Like if my tethered person stole me and
Well, I
stuck me in a
also
hole,
don't blame Red. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
who can blame
Yeah.
her for trying to better her circumstances? Like,
It's true.
As it always comes down to it, it's the government that we have to blame.
amen. And hands
Yes.
across America.
Yeah. End world hunger? No way.
Yeah, I'm not like. I actually picked up on that one because about halfway through I was like, why did they show us those commercials at the beginning? And then I was like, hands across America. Oh, they're gonna do something about that. Like, she literally just hands across America.
I know that was not very subtle at all. It was just like,
Well, I don't know what it was. I mean, what do you mean when you say it's not? So I don't know what it was trying to communicate. I thought it was just weird, honestly.
Really supposed to say anything.
I know that's what I mean. Like it felt a little weird, and it was just like, yeah, we watched the preview, and then it's literally just hands across America, and it shows a T-shirt, and they're all holding hands, standing. Like it was a cool image to like see in the movie, but like I super didn't get it.
Yeah. Also, can we just continue to get movies where rabbits play a weirdly central role?
I was thinking that. I was like, I don't know what this is, but rabbits make things better.
Yeah. We're referencing The Favorite for those of you who don't get the joke.
Apparently, Jordan Peele put that in because he finds rabbits terrifying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess he just doesn't like them.
Okay. Sorry. I want to get into just general. I really liked this thing part of the discussion. Am I cutting anybody off if I just jump into that?
No.
No.
So speaking of rabbits being terrifying, that opening credits shot of the
Oh
zoom
my
out
gosh.
was so cool.
Especially with the music.
The music was amazing. The like chanting.
Oh,
my gosh.
it was so good.
And it just like slowly pans out from that one rabbit.
Yeah.
Just, oh my god.
So
it's such a
cool.
long shot too.
So cool.
And like, what the heck do the rabbits mean? Like,
I don't know.
Are they just like food?
Honestly, I think
think
it's
so.
I think it's if I had to guess,
they multiply really fast.
that's my thing. Is like the government wants to stick them down there with a pretty easily replenishable food source.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're going off the government made these clones, right? Like
Well, There's a lot of things that are really interesting about the mole world. Like, there's just all these classrooms, and every classroom has all the rabbits and desks. So, like, I just pictured, like, all these shadow kids, like, sitting in their desks. And
With
also,
rabbits?
yeah. And just, like, learning weird, creepy things.
I would like to know a little bit more about like the logistics of the mole world, if that makes sense.
There are
Like,
things that like I don't quite understand. Like,
were they always mirroring, or did they kind of go in and out of mirroring?
Yeah.
Like,
and then like why do they feel like they're immortal in some cases and like they're stronger than their replicant? I don't know. It's
ooh, you did it, not me.
Blade Runner.
You said replicant.
I figured. I was like, did I say something racist again? Oh no.
No, you referenced Blade Runner.
I figured. But yeah, there's just some things that I don't understand, but also I kind of like how they didn't explain it. I was just kind of like, these are some weird people.
And, like, when did they gain control over the mirroring thing?
Mhm.
And could they mirror backwards? Because, like, Adelaide, like, the mole person, when she came to the real world, like, the mirroring was flipped. So,
What?
okay, so when the real Adelaide is down in the
Ooh,
mole
yeah,
world,
yeah.
she then was shadowing and mirroring.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And the red Adelaide, who is now, I don't know, they're confusing. But the one who lived a normal life was the one doing the living. That was really confusing. But did you understand?
No, I get what you're
Okay.
saying, yeah. Also, what's up with all the 11:11 stuff?
Yeah. Make a wish,
know.
I guess. I
Right?
don't know.
I did pull it up. Jeremiah 11:11
Uh-huh.
says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them." That's one thing that I'd like to rewatch it with I guess a religious lens, because Red or Adelaide, I don't know, the person who led the uprising,
Let's call her red.
even though she's really Adelaide.
Yeah, because she was wearing red.
Okay.
And the mole person is Adelaide.
Okay. Red talks about that a lot, as far as like, she's like, that's when I saw God, and like the Lord spoke to me, and like all this. She does a lot. I don't know, that was a line I didn't really spend a lot of time keeping up on, honestly, and I'd be curious to see how that ties into things, because I don't know.
Well, and I think the like guy with the long hair that was holding the sign with the scripture on it, I think he was the first one to like actually die.
Well, yeah, because he had the stab hole in him when they brought him out of his house.
Yeah, and then you see him standing there on the beach, and like he was already there ready to like start the holding hands thing.
Oh!
That's awesome.
I know,
Way to
right?
go,
I didn't pick up on that. That's
Well,
so cool.
And like the little boy, like I think he's just like very smart, and like I think he caught on to things really fast because he was really curious by him, and he went and stood by him. And then like Adelaide was really freaked out when she saw the picture that he drew of him standing there. And like I don't know, there's just like a lot of little things, especially with the little boy, where like he just kind of understood.
Yeah.
Like he understood that the mole person was his shadow, and that he would copy him.
He would copy him, yeah.
And he understood that his mom was really a mole person. And he's just a smart kid.
Yeah, I honestly, especially, and I'm always, I'm most of the time glad when my expectations are subverted. In the trailer, it shows the two of them sitting in the closet and like mirroring each other. I thought he was gonna like befriend his mole person, and that was gonna be like the solution to it all was love, or I don't know, like something like that. But I'm glad that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Instead, he made him walk into the fire.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was awesome. Ugh.
But like I don't know, it just makes me wonder, like it would have been cool to see like Adelaide having to mirror the red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it was like flipped back or something.
No, this movie, yeah. Like, it's such a cool concept, and I don't know if it's possible to fully explore everything that we would like to see about it in 2 hours.
Wait
Yeah.
a second. I just remembered the part in the mole world when they're in the classroom
Mm-hmm.
and they're walking around in a circle, and that is possible that was mirroring,
Yeah, a little bit.
because like I was like, why
Wait.
does she keep walking away from her? Shouldn't one of them walk towards the other one so that they can fight?
Remind me?
Like-
Okay, so they're in the classroom and Red is like cutting up the paper,
Uh-huh.
and then she starts like really fast. She like walks backwards,
Yeah.
and Adelaide walks backwards too. And then they go to separate corners of the room and just kind of circle the
Oh.
room. I mean, I don't know, but
I'm going to say one thing
maybe
right
it was
now.
mirroring.
Annihilation did it better.
Oh yeah.
If that's what they were going. But Annihilation was more on the nose with it. That's really actually a good pickup, though.
So I don't know if
The-
that was the case or
The
not. but
choreography and the editing and the score in that scene was just
Oh
freaking
my gosh.
mind-blowing.
that was so good. Like in the hallway, and it kept like cutting back and forth
And
to
again,
the dance. And
what a freaking performance from Lupita. Like,
oh my gosh.
just the physicality of the role and how for the two characters just her entire demeanor changes, the way she carries herself changes. I mean, and that's true of all of them, of all of the alternates, right? Even the minor characters, like the drunk best friend, I thought he did a great job with his alternate, and like it makes a lot of sense. That scene, I think that they hinted towards it a little bit with the scene of Kitty, like her alternate, like putting lipstick on and stuff like that. Like I guess the goal of the mole people was highlighted by that. But point being, fantastic performance from her all around.
oh yeah.
Like, if she doesn't get
She won't.
nominated,
She won't.
I have lost faith
She won't.
in everything.
The Academy. Here's the thing: just don't get your hopes up. If they didn't do
know.
it for Hereditary, they're not gonna do it.
But they like Jordan Peele,
I mean, yeah, Get Out did get an Oscar, and it came out in March.
so I feel like it has
February,
hope.
actually.
Oh, did it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I've given up all hope. If they want to surprise me, good on them. But I've given up all hope of the Academy liking horror or sci-fi movies.
You'll just have to watch those other awards. What was it? The like
I have
sci-fi
to-
and
yeah.
horror.
Yeah, I was like,
award.
this is awesome. I couldn't find. I looked around. I forget what they were called because I couldn't find anything good about them as far as like who the nominees were and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. No idea. Fix your website, people. Favorite scenes.
I don't know if it's my favorite scene, but I was just thinking about when Gabe kills
Ugh, I love
the
him.
other Gabe.
Oh, and
it's
he
just
chops him
like-
up in the boat. I was like, "Excuse me."
Oh
Like,
my gosh. Just like that whole scene in the lake was just like crazy. Like
it was awesome.
I don't know where it came from, but it was really cool.
I think just from like when they see the family in the driveway and like when they break into the house and just like kind of the introduction to them and when Red is giving her monologue, I think that was probably my favorite part.
Dude, when they're standing in the driveway, they're standing holding hands.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I don't know if that plays into it, but I'm sure it does.
I'm sure.
Also, I think this is probably my favorite scene.
Dude, sorry, I want to jumping back on what you said, Sid. I want to rewatch her monologue now,
Yeah.
knowing.
Knowing everything.
And it also makes sense that like I was wondering why she was the only one that could speak,
Yeah.
and it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're wondering
Oh
what?
yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I might go see it tomorrow with my mom. Go ahead, Becca.
My favorite scene was the shadow scene with the two boys where they're mirroring each other, and
With the car on fire.
yeah. Like that whole sequence was just like I just like couldn't take my eyes off of it. And
Yeah.
like the boy knew, he's like, "Oh, this is a trick. Get out of the car."
And it was gorgeous.
It was so good.
Seriously, oh my gosh. The cinematography in this movie was such a step up from Get Out. And not that Get Out was ugly at all. This
Hey guys, It's 11:11.
Oh, that's real creepy.
This movie, I feel like it was a lot harder palette to work with than Get Out was. And I feel like it emphasized color a lot more than Get Out did. This was a much more vibrant movie than that was. I just noticed the cinematography more in this one.
Yeah, me too. And it was, I mean, I think this is probably true of a lot of horror movies where the camera stays like really close to the person,
Mhm.
so you can't really see what's going on. But I think it did that very effectively with the camera work and definitely made it feel intense.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, sorry, another thing with Adelaide, it bothered me again in the beginning of the movie how jumpy she was. But it came back around and made sense. I gotta say, I think that far and away my favorite scene was the ending fight.
Yeah.
Just the way that Red moved was so impressive. As just like from a performance standpoint, it was awesome.
That was a really cool scene.
And the way that the score lined up with the editing and going back to the dancing scene, and again, there's a ton of things that I missed, like especially the connection with, like, I get that like self-expression was what allowed Adelaide to become a real person essentially.
Mhm.
So I picked up on that, but I think there was more going on with that connection than I picked up on,
With the dance.
like specifically to the dance.
Yeah, there was a lot that I was like, I really wanted to get all of that, but I felt like I didn't quite get it.
That's what I'm saying. There is a lot going on in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like too much, but as we've been talking about it, I gotta see it again because I just can't grasp everything.
I wouldn't mind seeing it again either.
Yeah. It was great.
And for those of you who are out there being like, "Whoa, the camera movements and whatnot were not that impressive," when I talk about impressive cinematography in this film, I mean the camera movements were fine. Like that wasn't what got me. It wasn't like extended long takes or anything like that. You guys that are saying that are forgetting that the cinematographer is in charge of lighting as well, and like framing and blocking and stuff. And that's what's impressive here is the framing and the lighting are really just incredibly stand out in this film.
Yeah.
And the way that the color palette changes. And I liked that the mole person world wasn't just like a cave,
Yeah.
Like it was actually pretty nice. Like
if not dull.
yeah, I mean, but it looked better than my high school. So
Well,
It's true.
I think your high school had like a yearly budget of $14. So
If
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
probably not even that much.
like each of the teachers got a 30 cents a year salary.
It was mostly paid for by us on the dance team, paying that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I paid for my own education. It's fine. Just kidding. My parents did.
Did we all say, Sid, what did you say your favorite scene was?
Just when they like first meet the family.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this movie. There's a lot to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
Oh, do we want to do trivia?
Well, I just want to make sure before we move on to final ratings and trivia, if there's any other discussion
Oh.
topics that
No.
are wanted.
I don't have anything.
I don't think I have anything.
I got my societal breakdown rant out, so I feel good. We talked about cinematography. We talked about the acting. The editing was really good.
Can I just say that like the song at the end during like the big confrontation, how they like remix it.
Oh yeah, they started like
Ugh.
warping the piano and stuff.
Oh my
It was really
gosh.
good.
So good.
It's quite good. And yeah, I'm into that chant. The like chanty, like almost Gregorian type. I don't know. Who did the music for this? Do we know?
I don't. I think it's pretty similar to Get Out, but that one's more like kind of African chant.
And I couldn't tell you a thing about the music from Get Out. I didn't.
See, it is the same composer. I just rewatched Get Out like a few months ago.
Okay. Let's see. Michael Abels Get Out, Detroit, and Us. Wow, he's Oh, and literally his only 2 score credits. He was in the music department for Detroit, but he did the score for Get Out and the score for Us. He's new on the scene, guys. We're up on it.
All right.
Good job, guy. I'm about it. You're on the right track. Just keep doing what you're doing. Michael Abels gets the We Watch Movies and then talk about them seal of approval.
You're
It's a
doing
big
great,
deal.
Michael.
Good job, my dude. All right. So start thinking about your rating,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll hear trivia from Sid.
Okay, I don't have too much because it just came
Out today.
So, so Jordan Peele gave the cast like a bunch of horror movies that they need to watch so they could have a shared language while filming.
That's awesome. What were they?
Dead Again,
I don't know that one.
The Shining,
Okay.
The Babadook, It Follows, A Tale of Two Sisters, The Birds, Funny Games, Martyrs, Let the Right One In, and The Sixth Sense.
Dude, no joke. I watched Funny Games for the first time like 2 days ago.
Which one?
I watched the remake.
Okay.
Because I wanted to watch the original.
I mean, it's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch the original, but it's not available on streaming anywhere.
Okay.
And so I could only get the remake. And yeah, a lot of nods to Funny Games.
Yeah.
Oddly enough. 2, I take this as vindication that It Follows is a great movie. So take that, Becca.
Same
Yeah.
cinematographer.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I really want to watch It Follows again.
I could maybe watch it again, but it just was
So good.
weird.
It was weird. Dude, that's actually I see a lot of that, honestly. Some more than others. Specifically, I see a lot of Funny Games in this.
I haven't seen it.
Me either.
You should watch it.
Okay. I will.
It's really good.
I heard it's pretty brutal. Yeah?
Here's the thing. I don't know. I don't have a metric for that kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, because I was all worried about it going into it. I was like, I don't know. Like, people say this is really, really brutal. And it is, but
But it, like, could be worse.
I mean, it always could be.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't know, because I've seen stuff like Evil Dead and Saw and like all that kind of crap. And not that makes me I'm not out there watching like the Italian freaking murder porn stuff. Like, but I've seen some pretty violent stuff. And so I don't know. I think that brutality and violence in that sense is in the same camp for me as like nudity or sexuality. That like if it serves the themes and the plot in an effective way, I'm a lot more tolerant of it. And in Funny Games, it's essential to the themes.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. I can see that.
But it's also 90s effects. So like and you don't see very much. That's the thing with Funny Games is most of it happens off camera.
Oh, okay.
And then you see kind of the aftermath of things. So I don't know.
Huh.
We're going to stop talking about Funny Games now. But we'll talk about it again during other topics because I watched it and it's really good.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, so Lupita, Winston Duke, who plays her husband, and Yahya, Abdul Mateen, who plays her dad when she's younger, all went to Yale together, Yale School of Drama.
I didn't know that Yale
Wow.
had a drama school.
I don't know that either. Also, can I take this moment to pledge my undying love for Winston Duke? I love him.
What do I know him from?
He's from Black Panther. He's like the gorilla guy up in the mountains.
Ah, that's where I recognized him.
I love him. Okay. While the Wilsons are in the Tyler's house, and Jason is eating dry Fruit Loops, that's a nod to Get Out when at the end Rose is eating the segregated Fruit Loops and milk. So
All right.
that could also tie into the themes a little bit, you know,
Sure.
keeping it segregated.
Yeah.
Um
You know,
Yeah.
I'm really sure that Best of Enemies is gonna examine these themes with a really deft hand as well. I look forward to the societal commentary that movie has to provide for us this summer.
the commentary that we haven't needed for 30 years.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I watched the trailer for that movie. I was like, who is greenlighting all of these movies? Like,
I've seen that trailer so many freaking times. I'm so sick of it. Anyway, I don't have any more trivia. There was like 4.
that was some good trivia.
So-
Here's the thing. I really liked that piece about the movies that he instructed people to watch
That was interesting.
because
We
Because
like
you've
movies
seen most
here.
of them.
I've seen probably half of them, and the influences are there. And again, I'm glad that I'm not crazy because I thought it was because I literally just watched Funny Games like 2 days ago, and I was like, man, there's a few nods here to this and like some similarities. So I'm glad that I'm not crazy. Jordan Peele also really likes Funny Games. He's probably seen it. He probably saw it before I did though. I don't think that he watched it for the first time last week. So
I'd probably say not.
yeah.
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 He like makes everyone else watch it. And he just like, I don't really want to watch it. He's just like, I passed on it.
I need to go through and watch that list. The Babadook is interesting though. That's one that
Yeah, I didn't really see any. I mean, I guess it wasn't necessarily saying that he was drawing inspiration from it, but he like wanted the same
that's true.
feeling on set.
That's fair.
But
That's fair. That's I don't know. That's the kind of trivia that I want to know about every movie that I love because as far as I understand it, most directors give out like homework essentially and say this is what we're drawing from.
yeah.
That's the trivia. I want that on every movie that I like is what was the required watch for X.
Yeah.
I don't know. What does Tarantino tell his people to watch?
His other movies.
You need to watch Pulp Fiction and both parts of Kill Bill and what's the one with the cheerleaders in the car?
What is that one?
I don't know.
Something.
Dead something. There's death in the title. There's probably
How do
some
you spell
violence
Quentin?
and this is really, really off topic.
Death Proof.
Death Proof. That's it. I knew it. All right, Becca, you've had time to think about it, and you're out of time. Go.
You're right. I have had time to think about it. This movie is great. I definitely would recommend it. It's a good horror. And I really like movies that you can kind of decide like how deep you want to go with it. Like you can just like watch it and enjoy it, or you can like take it apart and be like, wow, this talks about a lot of different things, and you can peel the layers.
Peel the layers.
I did not do that on purpose. Anyway, so I really do think it's a fantastic movie. I will
rate it in a
give
vacuum.
it-
Don't look at the scale.
Well, I already decided, but I'm just making sure that
Okay.
it fits where I think it should fit. Yeah. I rate it an 8.7.
Righto. Sid?
Yeah, I really liked this one. Like I have no regrets about probably going to see this again tomorrow. I think it's great on different levels. That as just like as a horror, it's awesome. If you want to dissect the themes, it's awesome. Just as a technical movie, it's awesome. Yeah, I thought it was great. I want to see it again right now. And I would give it I'd probably give it an 8.7 too. 8.7 as well.
I promise that I promise that I thought of my rating before you guys said yours. But yeah, this is great. Awesome sophomore film. A lot of times you end up with that sophomore slump with a lot of artists, and that you have essentially infinite time to craft your debut, and then you're on a timeline for your second one. So that's why a lot of second albums or second films or whatever suck, because somebody spent 15 years making the first one and then 18 months making the second one. But yeah, Jordan Peele, he's still got it. I think that initial impressions, I don't know if it reaches quite the high that Get Out does. I think that Daniel Kaluuya's performance in that movie is just, I think that's going to be one that we look back on in a long time, and as far as just really incredible performances. And not to say that Lupita doesn't do a great job here too, because she anchors this film, but it's just a different vibe and a different feel. So I don't think that this film quite reaches the same highs that Get Out does. But saying that doesn't do justice to just how good this movie is, because it really is fantastic, and he did a great job with it. All of the things that we talked about up till now are fantastic. I think that my point in saying that, I started a thought and then I finished it forgetting why I started it. My point saying that is that while it doesn't reach the highs of Get Out, I think that he has leveled up his craft in a number of ways, as well as the people he's collaborating with. Like I said, I think the cinematography is stronger in this. I think that the score is obviously a lot stronger in this. I think the directing overall, he did better here. I just think that Get Out is such a lightning in a bottle situation where so many things came together so perfectly. One thing I think is that the humor in that movie is more effectively mixed in than in this. And that could just be because we were in a theater full of people, and human beings apparently don't know when something is supposed to be funny and when it's not. And I had the single most obnoxious couple on the face of the earth sitting next to me who like open belly laughed every time somebody did something moderately quirky.
Yeah.
So that really kind of threw me off. Point being, Get Out's probably a better movie, but this gives me a lot of hope that Jordan Peele will be able to continue to make fantastic films, because a lot of the behind the scenes elements, I think, have really been leveled up from Get Out. And it would have been interesting to see, this is again not to take anything from Get Out, but it would have been interesting to see Get Out made at this level of production skill from the whole team involved. Because behind the scenes, I feel like it's better, and from a craft standpoint, it is better than Get Out. But again, the screenplay and Daniel Kaluuya are just absolutely mind blowing. So it's hard not to compare it to Get Out.
Yeah.
But with all of that said, I give it an 8.8.
All right. Nice.
So 8.7, 8.7, and 8.8. 8.74. I don't know.
Yeah.
Round it down. 8.7. Which puts it.
Ooh.
Well, this is. Hang on. Spoilers. This is going to change. So.
Oh, I haven't thought about it.
Yeah. Us. 8.8. That puts it right on par with Birdman, Sicario, and The Big Short. Which is funny because, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, I didn't love Sicario, but
Well, yeah, all of these really good movies have lower ratings because of you.
I know.
Like Birdman and Hereditary. Oh, wait, no. This is an 8.7, we said. So it's just below Sicario and Birdman. But right above the Grand Budapest Hotel. And right on par with Hereditary, oddly enough. That concludes our discussion on Us. We're moving on now. We have a revisionist corner, and that mixes into other topics, which includes movies that we've watched. Becca.
So we watched Hereditary this week.
We watched Hereditary this week.
And I already did a revisionist corner for Hereditary like months ago.
You need
if
another
anybody
one.
remembers.
You never should have had one in the first place.
Well, that was the reason revisionist corner was invented.
But it should have been right the first time.
That's true.
But it took me, this is my third time watching Hereditary. I did not like it the first time. Didn't love it the second time. It's not my favorite the third time. But it's a great movie.
It's so good.
Like, there's so many good things about it, and there are a lot of things that I really love about Hereditary. Mostly Toni Collette. Like,
because she's incredible.
yeah, like, she's amazing. And I don't know, there are a lot of interesting themes that I have thought about more than most other movies. So I feel bad for my score. I gave it a rating
What was your score?
of 7.8.
Yikes.
Ooh.
Keep in mind, that puts it on par with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Becca thought that Hereditary and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou were of equal quality.
Hey, we watched Hereditary before Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And yeah, I wanted to walk out of the theater in Hereditary. I have never walked out of the theater at a movie. but Hereditary made me want to leave the theater.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Do you know the theater that I most regret not walking out of? The Snowman.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. Why did we stay?
I don't know. It was a movie pass, so we technically didn't even pay for the ticket.
That was
atrocious.
That would have been a fine movie to walk out of, but we
I think
didn't.
I just kept hoping that it would get better.
Yeah. I don't even really remember anything.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
All right, so
Anyway, all that being said, like, I don't know. It's hard because, like, I know that Hereditary is, like, an amazing movie for so many reasons, but, like, it just
here's the thing.
makes me
The-
feel creepy.
The Weston scale has been and always will be based on the value of you assign whatever value you want to based on whatever criteria you want to, right?
And that's why it's so hard, though, because, like, I know it's a good movie, but also I don't like it. So I think that I will move my rating up to 8.5.
8.5. That's amazing. That's only 1 point below mine. I gave it a 9.4, and I stand behind that. So let's do some calculations here. 8.5 plus 8.8 plus 9.4. That rounds us.
Probably like an 8.9.
So that puts it. I mean, that.
No, probably a 9. I would just give it a straight 9.
Yeah, I think so. That moves it up
Aw,
to a
man.
9. That moves it above Annihilation.
It's not better than Annihilation.
It is better than Annihilation.
I feel like Annihilation should be a lot higher up.
Yeah. What are you going to do? In a vacuum, and when we didn't keep track of the scores, I gave Hereditary a 9.4 and Annihilation a 9.2 because Hereditary is a better movie, and I've decided that.
This time it was Sid. Sid gave Annihilation an 8.5. I guess I gave Hereditary an 8.5 just now.
Annihilation's not an 8.5, though. Let's be real.
This isn't about me, okay?
Hey,
We'll have-
it was
here's the
about
thing.
me. Now
Here's the
it's
thing.
about you.
Becca has fully repented now of her sins against Hereditary. Once she repents repents of her sins against Birdman, then Sid can repent for her sins against Annihilation.
Okay, I can do that.
Let's move on to some other topics. Really quick, I broke my personal rule this week, and I watched a bunch of trailers.
Don't do that.
I couldn't stop myself from watching the Midsummer trailer. And holy gosh darn heavens, does it look incredible. I'm ready. I'm so ready. Like, I'm counting down to August because I'm like, give me this movie now.
I think I'm going to feel the exact same way about it that I feel about Hereditary. I think it's going to be amazing,
Oh, I almost
and I'm not
guarantee it.
going to like it.
I almost guarantee it.
Oh yeah,
Apparently, the script leaked online
I heard it's
several months ago.
rough.
And people were like, if you thought Hereditary was messed up, like,
Yikes.
so.
That's gonna be so fun, Becca.
But again, didn't
Yay.
Ari Aster said he had like 10 screenplays done and only 2 of them were horror. So he was going to do the horror ones first and then move on to other types of projects. So he's not going to shoehorn himself.
Good.
So for those of you out there, Midsummer more than anything else looks absolutely freaking gorgeous. Just the washed out pastels of, oh my gosh.
That's the main thing that's making me want to watch it.
Blood is going to look so good in that movie. Seriously though, because there's that one, there's
I don't want to know anything about the trailer.
There's some blood in the trailer, and it looks great. There's gonna be blood in the movie. Oh no!
Okay, no, I haven't seen the trailer yet. I'm trying to abstain.
It's gonna look great. I also, because it was recommended after the Midsummer trailer, watched the trailer for High Life,
Ooh.
and I think it looks great.
Oh yeah,
I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
looks like a good one.
We saw the trailer for Lucy in the Sky, which is a horrendous name for a movie, but looks quite good.
It does look good. I'm excited for it.
I'm down for Natalie Portman. It looks like it's gonna be a weird psychological thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm okay with that.
yeah, I'm down for that. What other trailers did we see?
The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
We saw the trailer of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I am so freaking ready for that. Like, Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio in like a just like 2 dudes movie. What? I'm so ready for that. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie is Sharon Tate. Great. the freaking scene with the Bruce Lee impersonator. My fists are registered as that's lethal weapon, so if I kill you, I go to jail. If you kill anyone in a fight, you go to jail. It's called manslaughter. Like, the way he delivers that line is so freaking good. Yeah, so that was the trailers that I watched. And I'm ashamed. I wish I hadn't, but I did.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched really too much lately.
Also on Facebook, I stumbled across a trailer for Pet Sematary, and it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, that looks pretty good.
I don't really like the guy that's in it. I forget his name.
It's like, is it Josh something?
Yeah, I don't love him.
He's okay. He's kind of always, every time he's in a movie, he's just kind of bleh.
Yeah. So I'm a little worried about that, but
I heard good things about it so far.
Yeah.
Oh, Jason Clarke. That's it.
yeah, I don't love him. Whatever.
Whatever.
All right, very quickly, I'm gonna run through some of the movies that I've watched that I want to talk about, and then we'll let Sid go, because I'm sure you've watched some movies.
And I have not watched
Yeah,
any
Becca's
of
too busy.
these.
Becca's too busy.
Yeah.
Of note, I watched The Wrestler by Darren Aronofsky, and it was phenomenal. It went on my maybe 10 list, honestly. It's incredible. It is so good. It might be as good as Black Swan, and Black Swan is a 10.
Wow.
So I learned this later, some trivia for you. Black Swan and The Wrestler were originally intended to be one movie. And then he split them, and I'm glad he did, because while they have similar themes, they're very different films.
Didn't we talk about that? Wasn't that a trivia?
Was that a trivia for Black
There
Swan?
was Black
Like,
Swan?
well, his plan was to kind of do like a sequel for, which one came later? Black Swan?
Yeah.
He like kind of was going to do like a little bit of a sequel, but then he scrapped that.
All right. I watched Breaking the Waves by Lars von Trier, which is a movie that I have come to like a lot more as I have thought about it after the fact. I think that the themes present in it are extremely interesting. I still think that stylistically, Lars von Trier, from what I have seen, which is like 3 of his movies, honestly, stylistically, the dude's a genius. Dude knows how to make a film. And I just want to watch everything he's ever made because it's so exciting to watch. Unfortunately, a lot of his stuff has content in it that I'm not sure if I want to see.
I don't know if you want to see Antichrist.
Dude, I looked up the Parents Guide on Antichrist.
I don't think you want to.
Holy moly. Holy moly.
I don't think anyone should.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm very tiptoeingly working my way through Lars von Trier. But seriously, stylistically and performance-wise, and just from a filmmaking standpoint, Breaking the Waves is gosh darn phenomenal. It's just a little overlong, I think. It could be 20 minutes shorter, and it's just super sexual, which it depends on your tolerance for that. Again, it is essential to the themes and plot, so I have a little more tolerance for it than I do in like stupid comedies, but point stands. If you have a hard time dealing with that, don't watch it. If you don't have a hard time dealing with that, it's a hard recommend for me. And think about what it is trying to say. I'll put it that way. I watched Funny Games by Michael Haneke. I watched the remake. For those of you who don't know, he made this movie in German in the 90s and released it in America, and it was a total flop, and he was convinced that it was because it was in German. So he remade it shot for shot from like rebuilt the sets, recreated every single shot, and made a perfect remake of his own film in English, and it was still a flop. So, but I'm glad he did, because, oh gosh, who is it that's in it? I just totally lost it.
Oh gosh, what is her name?
Who's the girl? Naomi Watts.
Yes.
Performance of her career.
Really?
Fantastic.
Okay.
She does a freaking phenomenal job. And everybody really does. Oh, geez, it has a 6.5 on IMDb. Y'all did not understand this movie. It really is. I don't want to say anything about it because it's just that good. Immediately, I watched it while Becca was out of town. And like one of the first things I said when she came home was like, I watched this movie and we need to watch it. You remember that?
Actually, I really don't remember.
I said it. And
She doesn't remember half the movies you guys have watched together.
That's true.
So.
It seriously is. It's so good. Very highly recommend. Put it on your list to watch.
I just did.
Okay. And like I said, the remake is a lot easier to find than the original. Although the Criterion Channel launches on April 8th,
Ooh,
and it will have the original on it. So I'm going to watch the original.
nice.
And also, I am just going to start going crazy watching movies, I think, because everything that I've been curious about in the Criterion Collection, but I don't want to spend $40 on,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go crazy. Specifically, I think I'm going to go on an Ingmar Bergman binge because I'm really intrigued by the premise of a lot of his films. I've done a lot of, I guess, like, which order do I watch Ingmar Bergman films in, and like getting the synopsis of it and descriptions of it and stuff like that. I'm very interested, so I think I'm going to do that. Also, Kurosawa. I'm going to go crazy on some Japanese films. Very much looking forward to the Criterion Channel launching. We rewatched Hereditary. One thing I will note, it was the first 4K Blu-ray that we bought. We watched it on my Xbox One X on our Vizio 4K TV. And holy mother flipping crap, does the 4K Blu-ray make a huge difference from a regular Blu-ray being upscaled.
It really does.
That
Looks so good.
what I came out of that movie with an appreciation of is how freaking gorgeous that movie is. And I'm going to start buying everything on 4K Blu-ray from now on because it's only $5 more. And it makes, like, because a regular Blu-ray will get upscaled to 4K. A 4K Blu-ray is natively in 4K, and it makes a huge difference. Just monstrous as far as lighting and black levels go, for the most part. We watched Apollo 13, which is a great movie. Not a lot to say there. It's just really good. And that's what I watched. All of them are hard recommends from me.
All right. So I actually haven't been watching too much lately.
What are you doing? Who are you?
Honestly, it's just Brockhampton. It's just taken over my entire life.
You just sit in your room and listen to Brockhampton?
Kind of.
Watch their music videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still working on it, but I got a few good ones at the beginning of the month. So I watched Burning.
Ooh, is that the Korean one?
Yeah, it was really good.
How was it? It was good?
Yeah, it was
Good.
really good. It's gorgeous. Like, there's one scene, it's a pretty long scene where they're like sitting out on the patio at dusk, and it's just, oh, it's so gorgeous. And I think I may want to watch it again, pick up on some more subtle things, but yeah, I really like that one.
A lot of people were really pissed that that didn't get nominated.
Yep. Yeah, I heard a lot of people were mad about that. I mean, I haven't seen all of the ones nominated, but I would say it should be in there.
I still need to see Cold War. I never could.
It's coming to Amazon soon.
Okay, good.
So,
So is Suspiria. For all of you out there
woo.
who have not seen Suspiria, I think it's like the second week of April, they
Nice.
announced that Suspiria is coming to Amazon Prime. And I don't know a single person that doesn't have Amazon Prime or access to an Amazon Prime account. So go watch Suspiria. So there you go. You've had your Blade Runner reference. Sid said Replicant. And you have your Suspiria reference. And now it is a complete episode of We Watch Movies and Talk About Them.
And then I watched the second Mission Impossible.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't like it.
The John Woo version.
Yeah, it was pretty boring, honestly.
Yeah, but there's that scene where he jumps off of the bike and hits the guy in
'Kay.
midair.
Yeah, I was so mad at that part. I was like, they are dead.
Oh,
if they
come
do
on.
that.
Don't be such a party pooper.
I know, but I don't know. I thought it was just like bleh. I watched Hot Fuzz again, and that movie has officially moved on to my 10 out of 10 list.
Dude, I've never seen that.
I love that movie so much. It's so good.
That's Edgar Wright, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have
I've-
you seen Shaun of the
I've
Dead?
only seen Shaun of the Dead of his movies.
A lot of people say that they like Shaun of the Dead more than
Shaun
Hot
of the
Fuzz.
Dead is a freaking classic.
It's a great one,
It's
but
so good.
I love Hot Fuzz. It's just, I love the humor. I love everything about that movie. So yeah, officially 10 out of 10 for me.
Wow, Hot Fuzz is a 10 for Sid.
It is.
That's cool. I'm proud of you for having a comedy on there.
Thank you. What else do I have in my top 10?
Not top 10, just perfect 10s.
Or yeah, perfect tens. I don't know. I'll look at it later.
Right.
And then I watched Captain Marvel, which I actually liked.
I have no interest.
It wasn't the best Marvel, but I actually really liked it. Like, it's not like the most exciting, like funniest one out
Mhm.
of theirs, but I think that she's a good character. It was a good introduction to this big character who's going to play a big part in the last movie. And I really like Brie Larson.
Yeah, I think that for me, like with Marvel, I'm just done having new. I was done having new characters introduced with Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that was my breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
Is I was like I didn't see Ant-Man. I honestly haven't seen any of these Spider-Man movies. Like I haven't seen Homecoming. Is there a second one?
They're coming out with one this summer.
So the second one is coming out. Okay. Yeah, so I haven't seen Homecoming. I haven't seen Ant-Man. I probably won't go see Captain Marvel. Like I just don't care.
Yeah.
After we hit Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, okay, this is all of the characters I need an introduction for. Everybody else I don't care.
Yeah, if I weren't so into Marvel, I kind of would just like watch the movies, cuz I mean, you know, some of them are essential for the plot, but if you understand the last few like Avengers movies, like the actual Avengers, then
Yeah.
it's easier to understand. You know, so you don't have to watch all 8,000 of them.
Yeah.
So.
Call back to last week. Patrick H. Willems has a series going on right now where he dissects why he, as a huge comic book nerd, is not excited about the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore, and it's really interesting. And although I don't agree with all of his points, and I am excited for Endgame to a very high degree, he brings up good points, and it's a video series worth watching.
Yeah, I like him. He's good. I rewatched Into the Spider-Verse. Still fantastic.
Yeah, somebody was
Love
selling
it.
4K Blu-ray of that on Facebook for $10 the other day, and I almost just jumped on it.
Gosh.
Because they bought it. I think they didn't have a 4K player though, because they were like 4K Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray not included. So I think that they bought it and were like, crap. So they just popped out the Blu-ray disc and went to sell the 4K one.
I watched Triple Frontier, which is that Netflix one with.
Oh yeah, with Oscar Isaac.
I don't remember a single thing from that movie.
It looks really generic.
It was actually like well shot and like visually appealing. I thought it was so boring. And you know, I don't know. It was just, I don't know. There wasn't anything special or new about it. So that's pretty much everything I've been watching. So.
Wow, I'm sorry that you left off with Triple Frontier.
What?
Isn't that you said you watched most recently?
Well, I'm like halfway through a Taika Waititi movie, Boy. He's the same guy who directed Thor Ragnarok and Hunt for the Wilder People. I love him. He's really funny.
I need to watch Hunt for the Wilder People.
It's so funny.
That's been on my list forever.
I love like Flight of the Conchords, like that kind of humor.
Yeah.
So I love that movie. It's good.
I gotta watch it. That one and In Bruges are two that have been on my list.
That's a really good one. I really like that one. But yeah.
Becca, have you watched any movies?
Nope. I've done lots of homework though.
Becca watched Hereditary and Apollo 13 with me.
Yes, I did.
That's all we could ask of her.
Listeners out there, you understand, Becca is incredibly busy, and we're very lucky that she makes time to do this podcast with us.
You're so welcome that I grace you with my presence.
Yeah. I think that's it, though.
Yeah.
Who knows what we'll do next? I'm done. Here's the thing. Listeners out there, we used to plan out several weeks in advance what movies we were going to do. And we gotta have a flow to it and blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. There's like 40 of you. We get it. Like, we are going to be more excited about a movie that we're actually in the mood to watch than one that we planned out several weeks in advance. So we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants from here on out. We're going to get together to do the podcast, and we're just going to pick a movie off my shelf.
And sometimes we're going to just forget to upload the podcast.
I didn't. Oh, yeah.
And we're just going to skip a movie. Right.
So we have an entire episode of The Big Short that I just completely forgot to upload. And in there, I'm like, welcome to episode 23 about The Big Short. And then in the one about, what is it? In Sunshine, I'm like, well, yep, here we go. Episode 23, Sunshine. So there's 2 episode 23s out there. But this is the only episode 24. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right on, folks. If you want to get in contact with us, facebook.com/we watch movies and then talk about them. Instagram @movieswewatch. You can slip into the DMs, and even though we are on a week-by-week basis deciding what we want to watch, we are accepting suggestions always. We would love to know what you guys would like to hear us talk about. If you have any disagreements, comments, or anything else that you want to write in, please just, again, slide into the DMs, and we will be happy to discuss them on air.
We'd love it.
We love you. We thank you for listening. To our 2 listeners in Sweden, you guys are great.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Tell your mom. Listen to this podcast with your mom. You know, you listen to it on your headphones while sitting next to your mom, who is also listening to it on her headphones, so that we get 2 downloads.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, don't put it on speaker for 10 people to listen to it. Each of you listen to it in the same room.
Exactly.
Don't talk to each
Or
other.
at least each of you stream it on your phone simultaneously.
Uh-huh.
That's fine too.
You don't even
Everyone
have to turn the
press play
volume
at the
up.
same time.
Yeah.
One
Just-
of you can play it while, like, with the volume up, and everyone else has it on mute.
Just go get an old iPod Touch, set it to loop through all of our episodes nonstop.
Turn the volume down.
Yep, and just
Be-
leave it there.
That'd be really helpful for us.
We'd love it. But in all reality, if you want to drop us a rating or review on iTunes, that would help us.
Yes.
Only if it's 5 stars, though. If you're going to give us a bad review,
Yeah,
don't.
make it nice.
But we thank you. We love you. My name is Andrew,
I'm Becca.
I'm Sid.
and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.